Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Simply Done Concierge. All right, folks, we survived the holidays, but now we got to catch up on everything, get back into our routine, which means we probably need some help. So Mary and her team at Simply Done Concierge can help you be in a couple places at once. Go to simplydoneconcierge.com, fill out a form real quick. It's pretty easy to do on what you're looking for, and Mary will get in touch with you and get it all done and make your life easier and better. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and the surrounding towns, has 33 chapters, soon to be 34. About 600 members, and each week we get together and help each other grow our businesses. So our local small business success story this week is Scott Godwin with EverFresh Cleaning. Scott is part of the core group that Amnon and I are part of. We meet Tuesday mornings at 8:15 a.m. at the Farm Bureau offices on Western Boulevard. And Scott holds the residential cleaner seat in the group. Scott, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Mike. Thanks for having me.
You bet, man. All right, so cleaning. All right, I got a bunch of questions here. So BNI's taught me many things. First of all, it's taught me shop local, which you and your wife Holly are, and we'll get into that. It's taught me to defer to experts, which your teams are, not a problem. But God, we hate cleaning our houses, don't we?
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's tedious. You never want to do it. You say you're going to do it.
Yeah. Oh, we have great plans. It's on a list. I've got this. I've been meaning. And now we're, late January. So the holidays are gone. The company is gone. Now I'm going to get the year off to a good start. And before you know it, it's April 23rd. Yeah, I've been meaning to get to that. And that's why they need folks like you, don't they?
That's right. That's right. We try to get everybody's time back because nobody, especially with kids or busy life with work, nobody really has time to do any of it. And when you do it, you don't want to do it.
Yeah, and other people don't do it as good as you. If you get your family members, your kids, your husband, whatever, it's like, well, it's okay,
right.
but it's not, the way I wanted it. So one of the things we talk about in the business world is what is the hourly value or hourly rate each business owner decides they are worth. Because we talk about what things in your business should you not be doing. So now let's reverse the tables here to homeowners and residents. What's your time worth? And if you spent, let's say, 3 hours a week cleaning your house, what's that worth to you? What's worth paying for? And really what it comes down to is, how could you better use those 3 hours every week than cleaning your house? I know you talk to people about that all the time.
Oh, all the time. I mean, I could tell it for ourselves. We have cleaners that come into our own house with 4 kids. I mean, and both of us working, it's terrible to keep up with.
Yeah.
We have them come once a week, and believe me, that usually they come Wednesdays, Thursdays, and that day is just like, just sit in the couch like I ain't got to do anything. Hang out with the kids, watch some TV, cook some food, and hang out.
Kind of like moving into a new house for the first time, isn't it?
That's right.
So one of the things we need to think about the new year. So what parts of the house, like I said, we've been through the holidays, probably haven't really deep cleaned or done a lot of cleaning in a while because we vacuum, we'll dust, we'll clean the bathrooms. That's kind of the extent of it. We may mop the floor if something happens. But other than that, picking up things around the house. So what are a couple of things we can start looking at the beginning of the year if we truly wanted to kind of get into some of the deep cleaning?
I would say you're probably looking at like your baseboards, around the kitchen area and stuff, because of course you've already had Thanksgiving and Christmas time come through, and you probably ain't paid attention to stuff that's getting on the cabinets, and or the stove's kind of gunked up, inside the oven it's gunked up, the refrigerator's probably got mold and stuff on the inside, and it's it happens to everybody, so it's nothing to be ashamed of. It happens and it gets away from everyone.
Yeah, and even inside the microwave, no matter how many
Oh,
times you put a paper plate on top of that bowl of whatever, something
yeah.
sneaks through.
Oh, absolutely. Or popping stuff all over the top of the microwave.
Oh, yeah, yeah, no kidding on that. So you guys also do commercial cleaning, apartment turnovers, new construction, and deep cleans.
Yes, sir.
Vast majority of your work is residential, though, correct?
Yes, that's our main scope. We have, commercial stuff that on the side, but our main uh, point is to focus on residential housing.
My first time in BNI, my brother and I had a commercial cleaning company, and a couple of times I knew some smaller general contractors through BNI, and they would be redoing a small office, 1,200
Right.
square feet, 1,300 square feet, and they said, "Hey, can you come do the post cleaning?" And stupid me thought, "Yeah, man." I got there. That's a whole nother world, isn't it?
It's a different ball game for
Oh,
sure.
geez. I I couldn't wipe down the walls good enough, I don't think. They said I did good, and I think it was okay, but I just never felt I wiped down the walls good enough.
That's right. Yeah, we've got some offices, and it was definitely a learning curve whenever we picked them up at first because it was totally different. And matter of fact, Holly usually goes anytime we have a new employee go to like an office or whatever. She'll go with them just to kind of give them a rundown
Okay.
because they're not real familiar with it, and it's kind of a totally different clean, really,
Oh, yeah.
uh,
Yep. Yeah, it's
than what
fun.
they're used to.
Yeah, and I always with the commercial clients that I got to know, and I would see, just pop in and say hi, check out how things are going, and we'd chat, and you learn a lot about employees that they don't think you can the things you can learn from what's in a trash can.
Oh yeah.
Like, there was this one place we cleaned, and there was Chick-fil-A in there 3 days a week. And I'm so, but you learn little things like that,
Right.
and you know who's eating what and how much they're eating, and yeah, and I tried to explain that one day to somebody, and they're like, "Oh, I never thought of it that way." It's like, yeah, yeah, trash cans tell a lot. So,
That's the
uh,
truth. That's the truth.
yeah, and we could also tell who was fired or who quit when an office we normally clean, also there's no cleaning anymore. It's like, all right, who left? So yeah. All right, so your wife started the company, EverFresh
Yes,
Cleaning.
she sure did.
When did she start it?
She started that. I want to say it's been 3 years now,
All right.
maybe three
All
and a
right.
half.
And you originally were not full time with the company, correct?
No, I wasn't even involved. And I was working as a store manager for a automotive company,
Mm.
and noticed she was just need more clients. She was wanting to grow,
Mhm.
and I was like, well, I could probably help. So I jumped on her social media and started doing some little tricks and skills and magic along in there. And next thing you know, she starts getting a few more here, a few more there. And then it was I just slowly more and more got involved.
So before you were involved and you came home at night and she was explaining what her days were like, were you picking up on the tips on how to be a good cleaner?
So I'm probably a terrible cleaner. I know the basics, but you probably won't catch me inside the house. I know the chemicals and stuff that we use, and I know what works best and what doesn't. I'm more on the marketing side, and you know, kind of honing these uh, customers in or clients in, and trying to get them to join our
Mhm.
EverFresh community, basically.
So what kind of conversations did you guys have? Because starting a business is interesting, especially if you've never had one or it's a new product or service on the things you learn. So what did you guys kind of talk about the first few months of this?
It was pretty much it was kind of a slow conversation, really and truly. We didn't expect to go big, really. It was kind of a more just for her kind of thing. And but how those conversations pretty much went was this is going to be, we want to be like the best cleaner in North Carolina,
Mm.
pretty much. And, we started writing down some goals of what we wanted, what we needed, and where we needed to be at a certain time. And it just kind of followed that path. And here we are.
Do you remember cashing that first check?
She does. She does. My favorite thing is to see the invoice numbers whenever we're sending them out on Jobber, and whenever you like hit 1,000 or you hit 1,500,
Yep.
that's my little go-to goal. Kind of the makes you feel good seeing.
Oh, yeah. Now, it's interesting because we just purchased a carpet cleaning company and learning the nuances of a new business. So I'm sure Holly is seeing, and the teams have seen their fair share of those picky homeowners, shall we say?
Oh yeah, we've definitely come across them, but they end up being the best clients. Honestly, I mean they've treated us well. We've had some picky ones, but we just kind of we cater to. We we're honest with them. We let them know exactly what we can do and exactly what we can't do. Some folks they expect a lot. They expect the world, and but we just hone them, back down to reality, and it ends up being all right.
The some of the other home services people in BNI that I've gotten to do more on the trade side, the HVAC and handyman and stuff like that. A lot of them have a story of that homeowner, usually a guy, that just followed them around.
Yeah, we we do have a few ladies like that. You would think it would be the guy, especially on our side, but it's been a few ladies, and they're typically older.
Mm.
And they know exactly how they want it, and they want it this way, and they want it that way. And yeah, the girls, they really let us know about
Mhm.
it whenever they get through there, because they'll call Holly, and they're like, "Oh my God, this happened
Mm.
and that happened."
Yeah.
But but those folks are all right. You definitely got to bend a little bit,
Mm.
curve your weight for some folks, but it works out okay.
One of the funniest stories we had on the commercial side is we got this place, decent size, one of the bigger accounts we ever had.
Mhm.
And we got a call first time we cleaned it. We got a call the next day that the manager was happy with everything except wanted to tell us that they were a little unhappy that we did not start two of the toilet paper rolls in one of the bathrooms. We just put it on there and didn't pull it to start it. And it's like, yeah, okay, so this relationship's going to be like this. So I don't know if you've heard anything that uh, detailed,
We've
but
we've listen, we've had one lady saying we scratched her door or shower glass door, and
mm,
we had somebody come look at it, and he was like, "Y'all didn't do this."
yeah,
And it eventually turned into, they wanted us to buy her this fancy, new, different kind of style shower door.
yeah.
It was like hingeless and all kinds of stuff. And we're like, we're not doing that."
There's nothing you guys take into the house that's going to scratch
No,
a
no,
shower door.
not at all.
I mean, you
No.
got rags, you've got maybe some of the window wipes, right,
Yeah.
with the rubber. It's like, come on,
We have
people.
pumice stones. That's about the most
Yeah,
abrasive thing that we got. And even then, it's not going to scratch.
diamond ring. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, it just as long and what we learned and I did so the first chapter I was in was a lunchtime meeting.
Mhm.
And the first time I had my 10-minute presentation course, I brought before and after pictures, which I was then told, don't ever do that at lunchtime again. Because
Yeah.
I would always tell people, if you want to know if your cleaner's really good, you go look at the toilet, at the base of the toilet where it's bolted into the floor. And if all that area is clean, they have great attention to detail. But if it's not, man, they're just kind of passing by and just cleaning up the things you can see. And some of my members didn't appreciate that picture because I had some really nasty pictures
Oh,
of.
for sure. That's the whenever we're, checking behind cleaners or whatever,
Yep,
it's always the toilet, the bathroom sink, and
yep,
the tub
yep,
around the faucet area, and around the drain. And we can always tell. Usually, you got hair or something
yep,
stuck in the sink that you didn't, get out or whatever. But that's what we look for if a
yep.
cleaner's supposed to be doing a job like they're supposed to.
And another tip I gave back to it's usually in the bathrooms. If you, because most people clean the mirror standing up full.
Right.
And I told people, again, if you really want to know if your cleaner's doing good, kneel down, look right above the faucet. And if
Hmm.
that part of the mirror is clean, your people are good on detail. But generally,
That's
they're
right.
not because it's water. They just, again, they clean and they think they got it, but they can't really look at it down there. So it's those little things that you
Yeah.
learn real quick. It's like, better
Oh,
look
for
at
sure.
this.
For sure.
But again, it's their place. Like when you go in somebody's house, if they want the corner done this way, then you know what? We'll do the corner that way. So I would imagine that, like with any small business, especially in the service industry, um, staffing was interesting early on.
Yeah, it really is, and it still is. Honestly, it's one thing. I took the reins on that. Holly really couldn't focus on it because she was
Mm.
so busy focusing on everywhere else, and especially at the time she was still in houses and trying to train. And I kind of took the reins on the hiring, and I learned real quick you had to be 2 steps ahead of the game.
Mm.
And if you weren't 2 steps ahead, you were going to fall behind. If you were 1 step ahead, you were still going to fall behind. Constant, we're always hiring.
Yep.
That's basically how I've had to put it. Um, and we're very strict on our training, and we learned some very hard lessons right from the get go. Whenever we started hiring folks, um, we thought we were good. We wouldn't hire enough. We thought we had them trained enough, and then we just kind of let them go. And we learned real quick we needed to come up with better training, um, processes and procedures as far as how we train, how we hire, how we interview, and also we do something a little different than most folks do. We do a working interview.
Yep.
We've learned that works best because anybody could tell me anything face to face. But we put them in a house, and it's not to see if they know how to clean. It's just, can you follow direction? Uh, how do you take direction? And that's kind of what's worked best for us. But the beginning stages of hiring, whenever we started hiring for the company, it was a nightmare.
I've seen restaurants do that with cooks they bring in just to see, because you want to see, at least in that world, can they cook? We just want to see how they interact with the rest of the people on the line. So
Right,
I
right.
applaud that, man. That was well done for you guys to do
Yeah.
that.
And another thing and it might help other businesses too. We hired this girl named Allison, and she was really good, and she was like really progressing very quickly. And it got to where I noticed that she was making sure the company was took care of, because she knew if the company was took care of, then she was took care of. So we ended up putting her she started in a manager position, and she started training the employees coming through, and that really took like a load off of us to where
Mm.
we could focus on other things. And we pretty much just trained her how we wanted the employee to be, and pretty much just told her, we were like, look, if you don't think they're going to make it, just do whatever you got to send them home. Do it, if you realize in 2 days that it's not going to work, just go ahead and call it quits.
Mm.
And it's saved us
Yep.
so much time and money doing that.
It's usually all about the people. You
Yeah,
can have the
yeah,
greatest product in the world, but if nobody can make it right or sell it
that,
right, yeah.
that's right. And
Uh,
it was a hard lesson learned to surround yourself with people that are going to take care of you, and you take care of them.
yeah. But I'm with you. I always tell business owners, always have an ad out there posting a job,
Oh, yeah,
just to
always,
see what's out there.
always. We probably get anywhere from 10 to 15 applications a day.
Yeah.
We get a lot, and I always save them. I have a big old file with nothing but great applications in there, just ready to pull anytime we need to. And I mean, we're probably training at least a new person once a month.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. Who came up with the name EverFresh Cleaning?
that was Holly. He came
Okay.
up with that.
I
Yeah.
Did you design the logo? I'm trying to give you some credit here, Scott, so work with
I
me,
did,
okay? Did
yeah.
you?
So I designed a logo. I did everything but the broom. I didn't. There was like there was some kind of cleaning additive that I wanted to go in there with it to let people know it was a cleaning company. And
Uh,
but I had the basics down and had somebody put a little broom up there just to kind of give it a little cleaning spiff.
I like it. Did it how long did it take you guys to come up with that name?
For I'm not sure how long it took her to come up with it because I met her whenever she was coming up with
Okay.
that whole thing. But now making it, I'm not savvy at all on the computer, so it took me quite a bit to make that logo. But but yeah, it
Well,
was.
it looks good.
Thank you.
So another job you had, even before you had met Holly, I believe, was, you were an all-wheeled mechanic in the Army.
Yeah, yeah, I was a mechanic. Been a mechanic all my life, and whenever I went in to the recruiter station and they were like, "This is what we got," and I was like, "Oh, I know that one. I knew that one already." So I picked it was a 91 Bravo wheel vehicle mechanic. We picked that and went off for like 12 weeks and trained and went to Fort Drum, New York right after that and experienced the cold weather and
Mm.
worked on vehicles for only about 2 weeks after that and then never touched a vehicle again.
In your training, did you ever have to, obviously you had to, spend the night outside, survival training, anything like that?
Oh, for sure. We did all kinds of field training. There was, of course, basic training. You do a bunch of stuff.
Mm.
In Fort Drum, we did cold weather training. That was a big thing.
That
It was
just
probably -20
yeah,
outside.
yeah.
No fires.
No, that just
No,
does there's nothing
no.
about that that sounds fun.
Right. But after that, that's whenever I started working on a lot of generators and stuff, and air conditioners, um, and heating units and stuff like that. But yeah, so I got put into basically a tool room accountability. It was like in a recovery system. We called it a fresh, and you pretty much you had a big thing of tools that went on a back of a Hemet, and you pretty much went out and picked somebody up, fixed it out in the field or whatever.
Mm,
And yeah, that's basically what I worked out of. It was like a portable shop, I guess.
nice. So you signed up to be a mechanic. Did they ever make you jump out of an airplane?
Absolutely not.
Would you
And I
have?
was not doing that. That was not for me. For those folks that did it,
Yep.
salute to them.
Uh,
But jumping out of an airplane, nah. Mm.
my father-in-law flew. He was a weather wing commander, and he flew rescue helicopters in Vietnam and's flown all kinds of planes and jets and stuff like that. And we got talking one day about skydiving, jumping out of an airplane. And one time he answered a question. He looked at me and said, "Mike, I've never understood why anybody would jump out of a perfectly good airplane."
That's
And that
right.
was the extent of his jumping out of airplane. Because like, nah, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, it was a good experience though. It basically gave me work ethic because
Yep.
before that, I mean, I was pretty skilled as far as the mechanic side, but I was a kid. I was reckless.
So what systems and processes and things like that did you learn in the Army that you guys are able to apply to EverFresh cleaning?
My big thing is is well, for one, showing 15 minutes prior to anything.
Yeah.
um, Showing up early, the accountability, and I would just a will of like not giving up. And if you do get knocked down, you know you can pick yourself back up and keep going. Um, but and more drive,
Mm.
more of a if I say I'm going to do it, I am going to do it. Um, but yeah, and teaching that to kind of giving that same perspective to employees.
Mm. When did you guys know that the business was working?
I would say whenever it was almost like the same time we started writing goals down, and about a week after that, it was just it started taking off.
Mm.
We started really heavy hitting social media, and it kind of blew up. Just all of a sudden, that was about 2 years ago, um, and I would say that was about 6 months before Holly joined BNI.
Okay. And why did she decide to get in, and why are you deciding to get into BNI?
Well, for her, it was kind of sh- she didn't really know what she was getting into. It was really new. She had been talking to Mary Stocks, and she kind of was like, hey, come, why don't you? She invited her to a meeting, and it was like super motivating whenever she come back.
Mm.
Just being around people that want to help you,
Yep.
and then you can help them. And whenever you realize everybody's just out to help each other,
Mm.
it's pretty motivating, pretty rewarding.
It's amazing when you put some goals down on paper, start hitting them, kind of gives you some energy, doesn't it?
Oh, that's all you got to do is just write it down.
Yeah. And make it
Yeah.
realistic. Hey, we want 2 new clients a week, or, whatever the number is, or,
Right.
$8,000 of whatever, a week, a month, whatever on a goal, and then break it down on, all right, that's X number of cleans, which
Mhm.
means we got to do, 5 a day or 3 a day, whatever the number is. And once you put it on paper and look at it, things kind of get a little, I've always thought things kind of get a little easier once you can look at something.
Yeah, and I've always where I kind of idled Elon Musk, and I know he sets goals a little bit higher than what he intends for them to be. So that kind of he said it best. He was like, if you set your goal too high, he goes, if you don't hit it, don't get depressed or anything, because most likely you did more than what you
Mm,
even thought you could. So it's been pretty handy.
yeah.
Goal making is where it's at for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta, once you put it on paper and it's your roadmap. It's like, we're
Yeah,
trying to do 10 cleans, or,
yeah.
25 cleans a week is our goal, just, again, making up numbers here. And then you track, it's like, "Hey, did you know last week we did 28?" All of a sudden you
Oh
start
yeah.
feeling good about things, like, "You know what?" And then your next logical question is, "How do we get to 30?"
Oh, for sure.
And
And
it
and
yeah.
uh, and Jobber helps out a lot with that. The analytics that it gives,
Yep.
I mean, we can pretty much go down to okay, an average customer costs this amount,
Yep.
and this is how much we want to make in this amount. How many clients do we need to get? And it makes it super easy.
It's usually a simple math equation.
It
We wanna
really
make
is.
this number, which means we gotta do these number of jobs. Here's how many days we have to do it.
Right.
Oh, look how close we are.
Exactly. Exactly. And it never fails. It always, if everything falls in line like it should, I
Yep.
mean, it's pretty, you ain't but about $100 off
Yep.
come the end of
Oh, yeah.
it.
So one of my favorite questions for folks coming on the show who are married, is, so, and I've asked you this earlier, you and I had a good one-to-one, but it's a good story. How you and Holly met, and you both tell the story the same way.
Yeah. So we were teenagers whenever we first met. We were yeah, we were 13, and we dated for a couple years in middle school, and somehow we like kept a little bit of contact with each other after that. And the only reason why we kind of broke up is just she lived out in Coates and I lived out in Garner, and that was like a tremendous drive
Mm.
for us at that age. But but yeah, so we over the years we somewhat kept up with each other, and finally it was pretty much, hey, do you want to hang out?
Mhm.
And it kind of just took off from there. It was like we never even left, or we just started back where we left off. It was like we were kids again almost.
So where were the hot dates back in middle school in the Garner area?
Well, so it was more so her house because her parents didn't they were pretty strict, which for good reasons. Um, so they stayed on us. So I went to her house pretty much every weekend and hung out with her for the day, and that was our place. Unless her parents went somewhere, I went with them, maybe to like a movie or something. But the house was about it.
You guys ever pass notes in class?
No, we went to different schools,
Okay.
so we did mail each other notes all the time.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was pretty. That was back before text messaging
Yeah.
was a thing.
Yeah.
Nights and weekends on the cell phone.
Yep. Oh, I know. Yeah, really. So how was your letter writing skill game back then? Did you have some
Oh,
good things to put in there?
terrible, terrible. She probably couldn't even halfway read it. But hers was pretty good, I'd say.
Yep.
She was a straight A student. So
There you go. I remember growing up, we had a landline in the house, and you would try to convince your parents to get the longest cord they could buy or wanted to buy. So if you wanted to talk to somebody, you could walk through usually the phone's in the kitchen in our house. You walk through the dining room into another room so your parents couldn't hear you talk. Is that kind of the
yeah.
same with you guys when you got on the phone?
So we had cordless phones, but I
Ooh.
remember we were constantly getting in trouble
Yeah.
because on a school night, we'd be up on the phone all night long, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, my mom busted in the bedroom like, "What are you doing?"
Dang, 3 o'clock. Nice.
Yeah, it was. We were talking our heads off at night. So, but I guess it's what you do when you're early teenager.
Oh yeah. Oh, without a doubt. And I guess cordless phones, you could only walk so far away?
I believe I don't remember really. I would cover the whole house pretty much.
Yeah.
Where the dot thing was.
Yeah. But if you tried to walk outside, I know in our once we finally got those.
Outside, it wasn't working.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, where's a place I can find in the house where nobody's going to bother me, and that's
right.
Or get in bed, get under the covers, try to whisper, thinking you're fooling everyone, right? Oh man, separate schools in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So how far did you guys live from each other? Did you have to, and you rode your bike to her house?
Oh yeah, it was a good 45-minute trip in a car ride. So, really, it might have been a little shorter than that, but I believe it was about 45 minutes to get there. So
nice. All right. Well, that was a good workout on a bike, though, right?
Oh yeah, that didn't quite work. Actually, a funny story. I'll give you a really funny one. Is Holly wanted to come visit me one time, and she stole her car back right before she had a license. She got a car for herself, and she stole her own car and drove to my house so we could hang out one day with no license.
Yeah,
that was pretty wild.
Did her parents have something to say about that?
She never got caught.
Ooh, the car's gone all day and she didn't get caught.
She never got caught. She ended up telling them about it, when we were older.
Yeah.
Know about it now. And they all get a good laugh at it, but
nice.
But, yeah.
That's
something I definitely would
have done. Yeah. You'd have got in trouble, right? If you'd stolen your own car. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So you guys have 4 kids between you.
Yes.
4 to 14?
Yeah, 5 to 14.
5 to 14, right.
Yep, the 5 and the 14-year-olds are girls, and then we got an 8 and a 10-year-old are boys.
Oh, geez. So I've raised 2 boys. I have 4 nieces and 2 granddaughters. Not really seen the day-to-day life of raising a little girl / young woman in the house, but I bet you're outnumbered on some days, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I just in one of the girls I get outnumbered. So It's and I say a lot of times I say that, oh, this ain't gonna happen or that's
Hmm.
not gonna happen. Then I'll just buckle in and,
Yeah.
and give in usually.
Yeah, when
So
our oldest son was in middle school, I know things were changing because one day I drove him to school and he got out of the car and I said, "I'll see you later." And he spied a couple of his buddies nearby and he looks at me and he does this. I'm like, "Oh, so I get the head nod. We're at that part of our relationship. All right."
oh yeah.
And so I'm sure you have fun embarrassing your kids because that's kind of one of the perks of being a parent. We put up with enough junk every now and then. It's fun to embarrass them. And so our youngest son, my wife was dropping off at school one day and he refused to say goodbye. And she said, "If you don't say goodbye, I'm going to embarrass you in front of your friends." And he thought, "All right, mom, I'll call your bluff." So the next day she took him to school and he didn't say goodbye. She got out of the car, said, "Cameron," and he looked around with three of his buddies standing there. "I love you, sweetie. Have a good day." And from that day on, he said, "Bye, mom. Thanks for the ride."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. my the oldest boy, whenever the 10-year-old, whenever I call him, he's gotten in this like real cool stage, this like laid back, like mellowed out stage. And I'll call him on the phone and he's like, "Sup?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like,
No.
what?
No. Yep. Yep.
But and then I like, all right, love you, son. I'll talk to you later. Like,
Yeah.
don't even
Yep.
say bye,
Nope.
just hangs up the phone.
Yep.
But yeah,
And
it's fun to watch him grow like that.
so how many of them have cell phones?
Um, Pretty much all of them
Yeah.
except for the 5-year-old.
Yeah.
She got a tablet.
Are there strict rules on the cell phones? Because obviously, when my boys were growing up, there were no cell phones.
So far, I haven't had any strict rules come down. There was a couple things that like uh there was some social media that they jumped on
Mhm.
that I didn't think of uh to really harp on or anything, like TikTok and stuff like that. But so far it's been good. There hasn't been any trouble to I mean they all of them uh they set their own alarms on their phones. They
Good.
wake up for school on their own, which is
Yep.
amazing. You
Oh,
could
yeah.
ask me. But they're really and truly we haven't had to come down on them on the phone too much. I mean, they're pretty good about it.
Mm.
So,
Uh,
and every single one of them are, and without us even having to really say anything. So,
my sister would make her two kids put their cell phones on the kitchen counter as they were going to bed because they busted their son one day, like you, talking on the phone till all hours of
mm.
the night. And his sister was hopping mad. But every night they put the phones on the counter and it was not up for discussion.
Yeah, they've gotten in trouble a couple of times over the time that they've had phones now.
Mm,
For staying up too late on the phone. Um, Not necessarily talking on the phone, but like watching YouTube or
yeah.
something like that. They stay up too late. And we've kept the phones out for a couple of days, but other than that, they kind of recorrect themselves and they get back on it.
Yeah. It's funny when our boys, they have, what, six cousins, two, four. Yeah. And when that generation gets together, it is all about the videos. They each
Oh yeah.
have a phone like, "Here, have you seen this one?" They pull up a video, could be anywhere from 15 seconds to a minute, but that's their language. We'll sit around and talk about our generation, what we did, but everything with them is on the phone. They're showing each other sound clips or clips from things, but it's always video. So it's fun to watch when they get together and start laughing.
Oh, for sure. It's kind of transferred over to me and Holly. Me and Holly have gotten here lately. We'll send
Yeah.
TikTok videos back and forth to each other. So we'll try to see who can find the funniest video, pretty
Yeah.
much.
My wife will do that. She'll send them to the boys. I have no idea. I'm not on TikTok. I'll follow
Yeah,
people on Twitter. I don't follow anybody on TikTok because I don't understand
right.
that. But every now and then she goes, "Here, you need to watch this." All right, as long as it's not a cat playing the piano, I'll watch it. So, anyways, all right. So we're towards the end of January, Scott. What's a tip for somebody if they truly, truly want to get their house clean, other than calling you? And we put Scott's number on here a few times during the show, so please give them a call. But if they're bound and determined to do it themselves, what's a couple of tips they need to do to get started correctly?
Yeah, I would say start with the basics, do some dusting. I would change the AC filter.
Yep.
Change that. That tends to be it needs to really be changed every once a month, but not a lot of people do that.
No.
It's sort of forgettable, but it'll help kick down the dust a little bit. But do some dusting. Start with the kitchen. Start in one area first. Finish one area and then go to the next one. But it's kind of a tough thing to tell you where to start. I mean, it's wherever you get motivation to start at, just do it.
Yeah, or put a checklist together, right?
Yeah, but do one room at a time.
There
If you don't do one room at a time, you'll get scatterbrained. You'll be all over the house, and you won't ever get it done.
No, I thought I was the only one that got distracted easily. I'm not.
Oh, I'm terrible for doing it myself.
Good. All right, Scott, enjoyed having you on the show. Thanks for sharing some tips, folks. If you even want your house deep cleaned a couple times a year, we put Scott's phone number up there. It's EverFresh Cleaning. That's your website name too, right, Scott?
Yes, it's EverFresh cleaning.com.
Cool. So again, if you don't want somebody coming in there once a week or a couple times a month, that's fine. But you owe it to yourself for a couple of good deep cleans a year. So give Scott and Holly a call. Let their team come out and do that. Like Scott said at the beginning of the show, it's wonderful to walk in a clean house and sit down and relax. So take advantage of that. Scott, we appreciate you being on the show. Good luck in 2024 with the business. And we'll see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.